What's up everybody, Jason from Jason's Exotic Reptiles. Today we're going to do a video on purchasing reptiles online. So I've gotten this question asked quite a few times. I did a video a few years ago on this topic, but it was more kind of things to look out for, not necessarily how to actually purchase. So this video is going to go into a little bit more detail on what I look for if I'm purchasing online and what I recommend you guys look for as well when purchasing. Before we get too deep into the video, this girl is a hypo blood boa. She's about 2 years old. I made her here a couple years ago, and everybody keeps asking me what's the snake I'm holding, how old are they, and all that fun stuff. So hypo blood, about 2-year-old female. So let's get into the video. First thing that I look for online, one is obviously what's the snake I'm looking for. So it doesn't matter where we go through, if we're going to either individual breeders or if we're going to Morph Market and just kind of scrolling around, seeing what it is. And then I kind of identify, all right, let's just say I want a hypo blood. I'm going to buy a hypo blood. There we go. So I start narrowing down my focus on what snake do I want. Found the snake, find some breeders who have it, and now I'm kind of looking through. I'm looking for prices, looking for pictures, things like that. I'd say the most important thing that you should look for, one, is the photo. Obviously, cost is a factor in this, but cost is kind of relative when you go and consider that you might see a hypo blood for $600, you might see one for a couple $1,000, or let's say $1,200. Now, the $1,200 one doesn't always mean it's going to be better, but typically they're graded accordingly, where the more expensive one is going to be a nicer looking animal overall. When you're looking at photos, first thing you want to look for is, one, is this the animal that I'm actually buying? A lot of people will put a really awesome photo of a snake, but then you get the snake and that's not even close to the one you bought. A lot of the times those same people will have in their descriptions, this is the snake you're going to be purchasing, or if they don't have that, either it's going to be like an individual label, which is kind of a given that yes, this is the snake, or it's going to be somebody that just, like, let's say, I don't want to name people, but let's say it's just kind of a generic reptile place. They might just have a generic photo representing a hypo blood. The prices on those people are usually going to be cheaper because you're not buying that specific animal, but the animal they have in the photograph is going to be really pretty looking. So that's, I guess, step one. Is the animal you're purchasing the one that you're actually looking at? So step two is then take a look at the photo. Has the photo been edited at all? At least for me, I haven't got any complaints about my photos. What I try to do when I take pictures is take a photo of the snake and try to get it as representative of the snake as I can. I'm looking at this snake in person. My camera's going to change the color. If I move it over to the sunlight, if I move it over to the shade, if I take a picture at a different time of day, it's going to change the color of the animal. So what I try to do is kind of look at the snake and then try to get my camera as best I can to get a representative photo. I might even take 2 or 3 photos with 2 or 3 different cameras and just kind of compare them. Every camera today, at least in 2020, has its own processor to it. A part of that processing is it's going to color grade these photos or color correct. And so that's why I try to like to use different cameras. Right now, I've been using the camera that I'm filming the video with, but a lot of the times I'll use my camera phone and maybe even some old camera phones just to try to get a different quality of picture. If you think that the photo looks okay, it hasn't been doctored at all. I don't edit my photos by any means, so maybe that's a bad on my part. If I did doctor them up a little bit, I could get them a little tweaked more to what the snake looks like, but I would rather show you a lesser quality snake in the photo and then when you get it be blown away than have me doctor the picture up so that it's a little bit better than it looks in person, and then you get the snake and you're a little disappointed. I guess another thing to do is, if they're a good breeder, they're probably, and you're a serious buyer, I should say that as well. If they're a good breeder and you're a serious buyer, most breeders are going to have no problem taking some additional photos, maybe even sending a video. Videos can be difficult because they're a large file size, and for me to send you a video, it's usually going to be dumbed down in quality, or it has to be on a platform like Facebook that I can send larger file transfers to. So with that said, I have no problem taking additional photos or sending you additional photos, but what I like to do with that is usually take them in bad lighting conditions. I don't want to sell the snake to you at this point. My intro photo, it has your attention, you're interested. We all know, at least if you trust me, I trust you to know that this is representative of the animal, the best photo I could take of this snake, without making it crazy and without editing it. So When I send you additional photos, it's usually me snapping a quick photo with my camera phone in bad lighting conditions. I might try to take it in a couple different lighting conditions so you know what you're going to get. I never want someone to be surprised when they get an animal, at least in a negative way. I always want a good surprise to them. They open it up and they're blown away. So that's usually a pretty simple thing for me to do. I have no problem doing it. I might not be able to do it for you like within the 3 or 4 minutes that we're talking, but within a day I can get you a good photo. So that's kind of another crucial piece to this, is if the breeder is hesitant to give you photos and you're a serious buyer, go to the next person. It's not worth your time, at least in my opinion. Maybe you really like the person or you really like the snake and you have to stick with it a little bit longer. Usually a smaller private breeder like myself, there's plenty of them out there, is going to be able to spend a little bit more time, and some of those larger breeders are going to have employees who are dedicated just to answering your questions and taking photos. So if there is somebody like that, whether it be a large or small breeder, they don't want to take additional photos to you, then maybe you want to pass on them, because if they don't want to take a photo, it takes me 5 minutes to take you another photo. If I don't want to do that for you, am I going to really be there to answer your questions when you have questions in a week, a month, a year from now? Probably not. Probably just going to skip right past you. So ask for some photos if you're not comfortable. Me personally, I always like it when you make it easy on me and just purchase the snake with the trust. Maybe you get a little surprised when the snake shows up. But again, I have no problems giving some extra photos. So that's kind of big red flag number one. Another one that you're going to look for is price. Obviously, price is something that we all need to look for. So maybe you found your animal. I want to get a hypo blood. Here's my price range I'm looking at. Usually with more expensive animals, there may be some room to move on price, at least with me. If I have a $1,200 animal and we're a little bit off, unless I'm pricing it very aggressively, which I kind of have been lately, let's talk. If we're a little bit off and you see another animal that's, let's say I'm selling a hypo blood for $900, and you see another one for $800, and I think, hey, this is like the killer looking hypo blood, super nice, very representative. I may not want to drop in price, but I can maybe work with you. If $50 is a deal breaker, I might be willing to do that. Just message me. It's going to be dependent on what the animal is and what my price is. Usually my cheaper stuff, if it's like under $200, I might have some room, but I'm hoping that by the time you've contacted me or by the time you're actually reaching out to breeders, you know your price ranges. And you know, lately, I have some animals on Morph Market. They're priced very aggressively. I have no room to move. It's if I go down, it's not even really worth my time to sell the animal, because I know somebody else is going to come in right behind you and purchase it. So when it comes to that, I'll usually tell you, hey, I appreciate you trying, I appreciate you asking. I can't move. Not going to fault you if you don't want to purchase from me, but I want to at least be honest with you about the whole thing. This girl's looking right at me. So with all that said, I guess a crucial part, something that really bugs me a little bit, is don't reach out to breeders unless you're ready to purchase. You know, if you want to find out a little bit about me, I'm happy to tell you. If you want to find out a little bit of the animal, I'm happy to tell you. But if we're talking about a specific animal, or if we're talking about something that I have for sale, and I'm answering your questions, let's say we're 10, 15 questions in, the last thing I want to hear is, oh, well, I'm not really looking to buy right now, but in the next month or two I will be. Tell me that right up front, because I have 20, 30 messages in front of you and I'm answering your questions on, you're not really ready to buy. There could be the next person I answer who's ready to buy that snake that you're questioning, and I'm holding up their time because I'm answering you. I have no problem doing that, but I would rather you tell me that right up front. Hey, I'm 2-3 weeks away from buying an animal. This is something I'm interested in. Maybe you want to put a deposit on it and hold it, but if you're not ready to actually even put a deposit to hold, then I would rather you not ask about a specific animal. And that's just me. Maybe people are different, but again, I have a lot of messages a day. I work a full-time job, and I try to spend my time as wisely as I can. I'm happy to answer questions, but if I know that you're just kind of curious, let me respond to some people who are ready to buy before I get to you. So don't hate me for that. Hopefully you don't. But I mean, again, this is kind of like a business and my side job and my hobby, and I only have so much time in the day. I need to get to these answers, or I need to get to these messages and these emails. And again, if I spend time with you, I'm spending less time to somebody else. So I guess the last thing that I might want to talk about is, have you done your research? Again, I have no problems answering your questions, but if you're asking me questions that a 10-second Google search can answer, I'm not talking about specific things or what's my opinion on stuff, but if you're asking me like a really simple question, then it kind of, I have no problem answering it, but it kind of puts like this preconceived notion in my head of, who am I dealing with? Is this person going to bug me with questions every 2 seconds because they're just too lazy to go on Google and answer the things for themselves? I'm not saying that's everybody, and I don't want to say this in a bad way either, so don't get the wrong impression from this, but I don't like it when I'm answering questions that you can answer yourself with just a quick Google search. To me, that's a dumb question. I'm going to say it. It's there are such things as dumb questions, and to me, when you're asking questions that you can easily answer yourself, you're just a little bit too lazy to do it yourself, then that to me kind of rubs me the wrong way, and I might be less inclined to continue answering your questions. I'm probably gonna kind of give you a shorter answer every time I get one of those questions. So with all that in mind, there's some really great sources, some really great people out there, and even if you're between a couple snakes, I have no problem giving you advice. If you send me, say, hey, I'm between your snake and this one, what's your opinion? And that's recently happened this past week. I'm happy to give you my opinion. I will never give you a negative opinion, but be aware that I'm also never going to give you an opinion that's going to bash another snake, because it really is your choice. This is a snake, this is an animal that you're going to have for a long time. If you do everything right, this thing could live 20, 30 years. So it really is what you're happy with. So kind of recapping all this, find a breeder you trust. Make sure that you ask for some additional pictures if you're nervous or unsure. Most people have no problem doing that. Don't focus on price, because if price is a key to your purchase, maybe you can focus a little bit on price, but don't let price drive your animal. When you see an animal, you should feel like that's the one. I want that animal. I need that animal. You shouldn't be looking at it saying like, oh, well, I really like this one, but it's $25 more expensive than this guy, and maybe I'll just get the cheaper one. If you like them both, great, but I always say just pick whichever one speaks to you. Whichever one you know when you look at the snake, whichever one you say, that's the snake, buy that one. Now, obviously, you can say that's the snake about a $30,000 snake, so you have to be looking in within realistic expectations. If you have 30 grand, great, look at the $30,000 snake. But if you have $150 and you're comparing two snakes and they're $150 and $200, save a little bit. Get the $200 one if that's the one you're looking for. That's my advice. Everybody's a little bit different, but again, you're going to have this snake for a long time, or this animal, this reptile, whatever you're looking for. So hopefully this helps you guys. I don't know why I have a sweatshirt on, because I'm sweating down here. I'm like huffing and puffing as I'm doing this video. So again, we're going to cut the video here. I'll zoom in on this girl, and I'm going to start again every video just kind of showing you this is the snake, and give you little stats on it. So I'll zoom in on this girl. We'll cut the video after this. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe the video, and to my channel. Keep sharing these videos if you enjoy them, and yeah, we'll keep it all moving forward from there, guys. So thank you all for watching. Appreciate your time, appreciate you subscribing, and let's keep moving. Thanks, guys.